Hello, Reticents. I am Steve Lorello. Welcome to today's stream. For those of you who do not know me, I am, like I said, Steve Lorello. I am the .NET developer advocate here at Redis. And on today's stream, we are going to be looking at a couple of issues in Redis Home.net. Um, One that should be relatively easy to work with. Um, but actually, I think I'm going to work on two relatively easy issues that I think I'll probably be able to knock out in one day today. So for those of you who don't know what Redis.net is, and I guess I do a lot of these streams, and I don't always start with a baseline knowledge of what Redis.net is. So Redis.net is a object mapping library for Redis, and specifically people who use Redis Search and Redis JSON. They've been combined together right now into one fundamental package called Redis Stack. But basically, it's to make your life as a .NET developer a little bit easier. So you have this declarative interface for creating secondary indexes in Redis. You can decorate your classes, your models with different annotation or attributes or annotations to tell Redisome how to store and how to index your data. And then you can create those indexes and then you can query them using links. So, like if you want to find all of the people where their address is city, is satellite beach, you can do that, right? So this is just supposed to make your life easier as a user of Redis, as a consumer of Redis Stack. And today we are going to be looking at two issues. And the first one is one I've gotten asked a few times about, and I think it should be relatively easy to implement. That is this like find by IDs, right? So like you have a bunch of IDs, just a bunch of key names, and you just want to find everything, all of them, right? So I think this is something that should be relatively easy for someone to, write on their own. But I've been asked enough about it. Charles here is asking me about it like back in April, but um, realistically, I've had 3 or 4 or 5 different people in Discord or Slack asking me, "Oh, how do I find a bunch of individual keys that I have?" Well, I think that's actually something that's relatively worthwhile adding to Redisome. So we're going to go ahead and do it. So um, I'll go into. I think this is actually the wrong. I think it's Redis. Yeah. So if I start this up, well, it's open on the other. My Windows Explorer open on the other screen, but I will eventually open up Rider on the main screen here, and we can get off to the races with this. So fundamentally, what the ask here is given a bunch of IDs, and so like Redis Ohm operates off this concept of ID and key name, right? So you can create a model with I don't even know if the main models that I have on here have these. So you can create a model with basically an ID. So for example, here we have a ULID ID, right? And you can decorate that with the Redis ID field. Um, and if you have one of these, then when you create your document in Redis, it will create an ID for you. It'll create a unique ID for you, and it'll append that onto basically the class's fully qualified name, and that'll be the key that it uses. But these IDs are supposed to be, unique throughout the key space. And what's nice about having the ID as opposed to having just like some values that you want to find within a bunch of customers or a bunch of whatever your model is if you have the IDs for them, like you can go straight to Redis and ask for it and say, "Hey, I need the thing at this ID," and that operation is much quicker than trying to suck in a bunch of different what is it a bunch of different documents and paginating all of them out to you. So we're going to go ahead and try to implement this. So like if I pass in right now, if I pass in one ID, I can do a get or find by ID async, and it'll pull back individual record. But I want to be able to pass in a group of these IDs and just have them all come back at the same time for me. So let's go ahead and, well, I guess what I'll do next real quick to just kind of show this behavior. So this other project, this has a customer class right here. If I add a indexed, or no, not indexed, I'm not going to index that. Redis ID field, drop string ID. So if I have this ID field here, if I create a new customer, customers.insert async, I'll await this, of course. If I create a new customer, I pass it into this method. I'll just give them a name of Steve and last name of Lorillo. I have an email in here. It was Lorillo or steve.lorillo@redis.com. And all that. So if I pass in all of this to this insert method, what's going to happen if I do a console.write line here, I can actually print out the, actually I'll just create this customer outside of here. So our customer equals customer, slap a semicolon on there. Savannah's here to keep me honest today. I gotta zoom in a little bit. Guy's on vacation, so the person who's supposed to yell at me about zooming in is not here. So Savannah's kindly stepping in for him. So if I pass in customer to insert async here, you'll see that I didn't declare an ID in here. But if I do a console.write line, the ID is customer.id, and I do a customer.write line, key is customer key. And if I run this, am I doing everything right? We're going to find out if I actually have Redis stack running. .NET run. You'll see that down here, and it's giving me all these annoying nullable errors. I guess I could fix those just by null warnings. I don't feel like expressing them. So if I run this, you'll see in here that the ID comes up as this weird thing right here, which is a ULID. ULID is basically UUID with which can be lexicographically ordered. So it's guaranteed unique. It has relatively guaranteed uniqueness on a given network, and the ID, the first bit of the ID, is actually an encoded timestamp. I think it's a 32-bit encoding or something like that. But it's this lexicographically ordered unique ID that you can use. So the ID actually comes out as whatever that is. The key, on the other hand, is the fully qualified class name. So in this case, test Redis own.customer, and the ULID that basically was generated and attached to it. So what I want to be able to do is basically say I did this 10 times. So let's just do it 10 times. And I want to be able to add keys to this keys collection, keys.add customer key. And by the end of this, I want to be able to, or well, I'll do keys and IDs equals new list string. And I'll also add to the customer.id. So in here now, I actually have added all those keys and all those IDs. And for either of those collections, I want to be able to say var rematerialized customers equals customers dot find by IDs async, and await this and pass in those IDs or those keys. So by the end of this, this is where I want to get to. I want to be able to do one of these two things, right? And what I can do right now is I can find a given customer by their ID, or by their key. I can do either of these things. And so both of those will actually work. I'll just have this one be the last key in there, so we get different customers. Stuff here because that doesn't actually make a lot of sense in this context. And same thing for the last customer. That ID. I can actually do that right now. So with how Redis Ohm actually works right now, I can pull both of those. And if I looked in here, yeah, that's the last customer ID that was generated, and it ends with YRCJ. Yeah, YRCJ is the ending of the first customer that was inserted. So I can kind of I can do that right now. And if you really were motivated to like do this on your own, you could. Pretty. I think it's actually something that's relatively easy to do, but it would be nice if it was in here. So I could just say public async task. I think it would be a dictionary string. Let's call it nullable t. Defined by IDs. Async t. Async task. Another closing brace right here, and I need an IEnumerable of strings here. Called up the IDs. And then for each bar ID and IDs, then I can go in and, well, first create a new dictionary of you just create that new dictionary, and I can go through each of these IDs and just do a var obj equals might be this collection t source. That needs to be in a static class, doesn't it? I would just do a collection or source dot find by ID async. Pass in the ID, of course. And actually, I wouldn't just assign this right here because there's no point in awaiting that yet. I would just do a var list, var tasks equals new list task. And I would insert into this list of task, basically this task that's getting generated here. So tasks.add, put that in there. And then await tasks dot task.when and all tasks. So when they're all done, and then I would just return tasks.select x.result. It would have to be hold on. Make these a little bit more generic. Dot result. Dot oh. No, that's actually not quite right because I need to map them to the IDs that were passed in. Yeah, so I would do so instead of this being a list, it'll be a dictionary of string task t, the tasks.add ID, task.when all values, and then tasks.select or task.to dictionary x.key x dot value result. And that would do it. So I could just do this. I should be able to, this should actually work like this. Our customers equals find by IDs async, and I pass in my IDs, and I pass in the customers collection, which is the source, and await and just count how many are not null. So then it got them all back for me. So if I looked and I just threw a debug statement in here, and I looked at all these rematerialized customers, you'll see they're all different. They're all customers, and they all have the same information except for the IDs, because the IDs are what's unique, and they're all just Steve's, right? So yeah, so that's basically what we need to do here. So that shouldn't be I mean, we kind of did it already, so it shouldn't be that bad. Um, I don't think this is something I want to add a synchronous version for because I think the synchronous version is going to just be problematic. So I will just add an async version of this to Redis home. So get status, oh, get remote mini. All right, looks like yeah. So it looks like my origin is set correctly. So I'll do a get checkout the find by IDs async. And then we'll just go into the Redis collection. We'll zoom in a little bit more. And I want to add this actually to the iRedis collection first. And I will say that this is going to be a iDictionary string t find by IDs async. And then I will pass in an IEnumerable of strings and as IDs, and that'll be that. So I just got some documentation for this, XML documentation. Retrieves the objects from Redis at the given IDs if there is no such object. Redis null is returned. The IDs to look up and dictionary IDs to the objects in Redis. I misspelled dictionary. There we go. It's a good thing I'm an engineer because I'm terrible at spelling. And so now this is complaining that it does not implement the interface, which it doesn't, and we can just add it. So I'll inherit this, inherit the documentation. And then what I will say is this should be pretty easy. I don't think I really need to do much. The source is going to change a bit, right? Oh, and this should not be a dictionary, the iDictionary. This should be a task. I need this to be async. Task. And public async task. Okay. I think that's all that's needed. I think that's all I really need to do here. QED. Then I think obviously we're going to have to add a couple of tests for this to make sure that they stay a little bit honest here. I wish there was a way to zoom this in. because this is probably not very readable to people. It's barely readable to me. Let's see. Well, let's see if find by ID async has usage in the tests anywhere. Of course it does. It's good to know that. Nope. All right. So it's actually in the search functional test, which is fine. So fact public async task find by IDs async, and I'm just gonna add it. So I'll create two people. Var person 1 equals new person, first name is Alice, age is 40 or 51, yada yada. Let me make sure person does have an ID. They do. They have an ID. Great. And then I'll make Bob, who's 7, person 2. I'll create a collection, var collection, new Redis collection, person. I need to pass in the connection. And then I will insert both Alice and Bob. So collection dot insert async person 1 wait two, and I will go ahead and I'll just use the IDs from them for right now. Var IDs equals new string person1.id person2.id, and then I will just do a collection.where collection that I find by IDs async. IDs people insert true IDs sub 0 and people sub IDs sub 0 dot ID. That's actually not a true, it's an equal. People sub ID sub 0. And the first one's name is Alice. Name, age is 41. There we go. Let's run that real quick. And did it fail? Oh, that's an old test. That's probably from very old run. All right, cool. So that worked. And we'll do the same thing with the key names. keys. So var key1 equals var key2 equals, make this key1 and key2. And in this case, those are the keys, they're not the IDs. So keys dot 0 dot split, and we'll split on the colon dot last. And of course, in both of these cases, we need to make sure that we're also testing Bob. Seven. What's this thing complaining about? People. Saying that there is a possible null reference error here, but I don't see it because I've asserted that people sub key sub 0 is not null. Yeah. Ignore you. All right. So sweet. That works for both of them, and that's all we really need to do for this particular issue. So. Fun fact, always use gitadd -p. I am guilty of not using it all the time, but it's much better than using gitadd dot. Gitadd all. Because it gives you like maximal control over what you're actually adding to get. You can actually look through and make sure that you're not adding anything weird. So adding, find by IDs, async. I will open this as a pull request against Redis home.net. Hey, I think this is the first issue to pull requests that I've gone all the way through on stream. The other ones I've done in the past have been like, oh no, it's like I got like 60 or 70% of the way through the issue and I couldn't finish it on stream. So this is a nice, easy, digestible one. It's actually nice to be able to complete something on stream. So that's fine by ID async. Async solves 96. Explicitly does not add non-async version due to pipelining concerns. All right, so I'll create that pull request and I'll assign Shahar to this. Who is my counterpart here at Redis, who is helping me look over this library. So yeah, that is, but I think that's pretty much done now. It was, relatively easy one, pretty consumable, like does the thing that a lot of people kind of want to do. Yeah, so that's good. Good deal. So let's get back over to the issues. And I'm kind of between doing number 91 here next and doing number 101 here next. And I'm thinking of doing 101 because it adds, like, not having this adds the potentiality that, like, people will run into some nasty bugs with like tags and stuff. Um so for perspective, what stop words are in the context of Redis search are a bunch of keywords that we have identified that don't usually make a lot of sense to index. So I will show you. I'll show you real quick. Um, into CLI, and if I zoom in here, let me do an ft dot list. All right, so I'll just flush the database out. So if I said um, ft dot create idx on JSON prefix one test, and I gave it a schema of tag. Okay? Um, Now, if I did a JSON.set test colon one, and I said that I'm going to for that tag field, tag is to be or not to be. That is the question. Or to be or not to be. So if I set this up here, and then I try to do an ft.search on test colon one with tag as to be or not to be, I'm not supposed to search test colon one. I'm supposed to search IDX. I'll get a syntax error near 24. And that's because we're running into these different stop words here. I don't really remember how to fix that without actually adding to that index creation statement. So I'll just do an ft.drop index IDX. So in that ft.create, I think I got to put like stop words 0 or something like that. And then if I try to search to be or not to be, it's still not going to come back, but I guess it's probably because the spaces. Uh, I must be like not escaping something correctly. Hold on. It's really odd. Go through the docs. Reference tags, spaces. Huh. Does it work differently with hashes? Oh, oh, you know what? I see what the problem is. As tag. There we go. I wasn't aliasing it correctly. So if I go back into do my JSON set, I can then do the FT search, and that'll probably work this time. There we go. So now it actually worked. But yeah, so like if I do the stop word 0, then when I go in to search this, it'll actually work. But so like if I go look at the not FT set search, ft.create. If I look at the ft.create docs, this is stop words parameter here. If set, we set the index with a custom provided stop word list to be ignored during indexing and search time. Num is the number of stop words followed by a list of stop word arguments exactly the length of num. If not set, we take the default list of stop words. If num is 0, the index will not have any stop words. So, well, the docs here are actually wrong. So that should probably be fixed. And I guess I'll be a good OSS citizen right now and do that. So onto CD projects, Redis. Redis search. Snippets. Okay. Check out main. Check out master. Clear. Hold. Check out the fix stop words. Code. And if I go to the command ft.create, there it is. Stop words. You'll see that it should have a num after it. So if set, we set the index with a custom stop word list to be ignored during indexing and search time. Num is the number of stop words followed by a list of stop word arguments exactly the length num. If not set, we take the default list of stop words. If num is set to 0, the index will not have any stop words. So I could do let's check out B, git add -p, git commit-m. And if I go back over to repository, all right, cool. So now that we've got that sorted though, like really what I need here in Redis Home. So insofar as Redis Home is concerned, this is going to be a document level setting. So we're not going to set this per field. You might actually be able to. I actually don't think so. Stop word. Yeah, I think it's this is a index level setting that you can set. And I believe that's the only way you can set it. And so I'm going to go into the document um, attribute in here. And that's really where, like, this really needs to live in here. So let's see. I think for, yeah, strings, like, it's going to be an array of strings. So I guess I'll add it to the end of the properties list here. But basically, it's going to be public string stop words set array.empty string. Oh, you know what? I'm going to actually leave this as null, nullable array. Close the square bracket should be followed by space. Okay. What if it's a nullable array? Should I just do a nullable? Doesn't want me to use that, does it? So this will be the stop words to use for this index. If set to, if not set, we'll use the standard set of stop words. I think that's, I can't remember where that's actually described, but I will put a link in the docs of that. So we're to stack, search, reference. Is there a whole page for it? Yeah, there is a page for it. Okay. You see, these are all the standard stop words. So I'll just add a link to you. If not set, Redis will use the default C href equals C stop words for this index. Doesn't want me to use nullable. Welcome from Brazil. Welcome to the stream. We're working today on stop words in Redis ohm.net. All right. How do I do this now? This is really so Style Cop is complaining. It doesn't like what I'm doing here. It's funny. It's a contradiction. It's like closing brackets must be preceded by should be followed by a space. So okay, fix the spacing. And it says, oh no, nullable types. Nullable type symbols should not be preceded by a space. Okay. Um, so I'm just going to disable that. It's a little dirty, but I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. Just a styling thing that I'm disabling. It's not going to affect anything. Um, uh, so type words, stop words is never used. That's a fair criticism. Um, and I mean, right now, if I just ran the unit tests, everything should pass. Wait a second. I just realized. I need to switch to the correct branch. Okay, check out B. And the new stop word feature to this. Looks like I have SA1101 already disabled. Or I should. So can I just delete that? And will it go away when I build? Oh, it was 1101. There we go. That fixed it. That was a slightly annoying error. So nothing should have changed yet, right? Because nothing in my unit test should have changed yet. I should just get the one normal error that I get when I run my tests, which is trying to connect to Sentinel. Yep, couldn't connect to Sentinel. That's fine. Oh, it still has that weird thing with the. Oh, that's fine. Okay. It still has that weird thing with the maximum documents or maximum results freezing up. That's an error that's been fixed. It should be rolled out in the next version of Redis Stack. I wonder if that's actually available yet. I'd like to see if it's in there. Run. See if that works. Yeah, if not, I'll figure something else out. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's working. Oh, it did work. Nice. Because that one failed probably because I aborted. Oh. Is that because of this? Nope. I have to look at that because that's really weird. Oh, you know, it could be that same error. It'd be that 10,000 person maximum or whatever it is. Yeah, because they run when there's not more than 10,000 individuals in the documents in Redis. So I think I'm gonna have to look at that a little bit more. But anyway, I just want to make sure that adding this doesn't affect that. So test save was not working. What's wrong with everything else? Okay. Yeah, so that's working still. So, like I said, this shouldn't have affected anything. And the ones that I would expect to affect are, is it the serialization? Might not be serialization. Might be search tests. So, go to search tests. Search tests. Yeah, it's in here. Right. So I'm going to need to add, well, so like this is already validating that it's not adding that when the thing is null. But I'm going to need to add a new, okay, I'll add two new objects in here. Object with 0 document string. So we have something. Go to use rate.nt here, right? Uh-huh. It should be, maybe it won't let me use that from here. I mean, which I guess is possible. That's fine. I can just use a initialize an empty array, but that's a little silly. It doesn't let you do that. Oh well. New. Okay. So just new up a empty array of strings. Now, when I go into my search tests, connect public async task test create index with no no stop words. Mock.setup. Sync it. Is any string and returns a sync. Okay. Then I just do an await mock dot object that create index async, a type of object with 0 stop words. And then if I do mock dot verify, I can pass in obviously I know it needs to execute async, and the first thing there is ft.create. Second thing is going to be the did I pass in special? No. Oh, yeah, no, it's just going to be that whole thing lowercase. Name of object with 0 stop words that lower. X. And then on hash, prefix 1. Okay. Name. I'm going to pass in stop words 0. And then we're going to have schema name as name tag. This isn't going to work yet because I haven't added any logic to make it work. Let me just cut that bit out real quick to make sure the rest of this is working. No, I need the separator in here. On hash prefix 1. Oh, it doesn't need any of this. The hash. So on hash prefix 1 Redis own unit tests Redis search. No. Oh. Huh. That's weird. Why is this one? It's supposed to be at a different place. That's why. Okay. All right. So now that's working. So the last thing I actually need to do here is uncomment this, and that'll break it, right? And then I'll add a object with 2 stop words. String. Ooh. Bar. Okay. And prop string name. If I go back over to here, with 2 stop words. Create index object with 2 stop words. If I comment these out, that should work. But I want this to be now, instead of that, I want it to be 2, and then foo bar. Okay. So now that our tests are set up, we're kind of ready to go. So document attribute. So we need to go into where we serialize the index. And right before the schema, if not of, if not string dot. No, hold on, wait a second. If object attribute dot stop words not equals null, args dot add stop words, args dot add object attribute dot stop words dot count to string, and then for each stop words word. So for each word in there, we're going to do an args dot add. We just do args dot add range. That stop words. So that worked. And this should work. Cool. So that's issue number 2 we've knocked out today. That's 2 issues so far. Let me just go ahead and add a functional test in here. So I'll add a yeah. So what I will do is I'll go into my search functional tests. I need to set these up. So connection.create index type of object with 0 stop words. Connection.create index type of object with 2 stop words, and then I'll just delete them at the end. So I'll go to my search functional tests. And in fact, like async test query with no stop words. So we'll add that to Redis, and then for our collection equals new Redis collection with 0 stop words action, and our results equals await collection.clear. Let's try that, and then we'll just assert. I guess I don't actually have to assert much here. What's your default? Sync. Cool. So it works. So like this would not have been possible before. So like I said, if I went into the Redis CLI and huh. Interesting. Well, I guess I forgot to drop this out of here. Yeah. Oops. Class for empty Redis collection. Oopsie daisies. Connection that drop index async. Drop index and associated records type of class for empty Redis collection. I forgot to drop that. Whoops. But anyway, if I did an ft.create IDX on hash prefix 1 test schema tag tag, I did an each set test colon 1 tag is to be or not to be, that is the question. And I did a ft.search IDX see, I got this the syntax error near 45, near question. And that's because these stop words in here are in here. So I think you can actually go in and just escape the stop words. I'm pretty sure these are all stop words. You're wrong about that. Um, Thus, you would escape the tag to be or not to be, like when querying. So in the CLI, because a tag includes multiple words, and some of those words are stop words, like to or be. A query that includes these words without escaping the spaces will create a syntax error. Okay. So actually, I don't need to escape the words. I need to escape the white space that comes after the words. So like this just makes your life a little bit easier when using this thing. If so you don't have to do that. So in this case, I did the same thing, but now I can just do the search straight on this, and it'll work. So yeah, that was really all we needed to do for this issue. So that's two issues that I've closed out on the stream today. So I'm just going to do a git add -p. Add, yep. That's that weird style cop rule I was complaining about. Was complaining before. Yep. 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 Mm. Oh, must have been automatically added when creating the file. All right, so git commit -m. I'll just push straight to repo. Okay, so let's hard this again. Pull request. Oh, I should probably mention that it fixes R1. And that really fixes because it's not really bugged, but resolves number 101. Okay, cool. So that's actually all I had planned for today. Let's see if there's anything else in here that I can kind of work on while we're here. People have asked about this one for a while, but this is going to take more than the 40 minutes that I have left to work on. But this is basically, so I don't actually want to commit to this today. Maybe this will be next week. But this one is this is an interesting one. So he's asking, is a contains query possible? So in this case, like, so for things like arrays within the model, yes, you can run a contains on it, assuming that it's a tag. For strings within a model, you can run contains on it, assuming that it's a text. But what he's asking about is if he has an external collection, like a collection of IDs, right here, and he wants to see if any of them are applicable to the given model. So he basically wants to run a bunch of OR queries against Redis Ohm. So can he do that? And the answer is right now no. The answer is not quite no. The answer is sort of. Okay, so you have in Redis Ohm this extra like query ability that's provided by this Redis query object that I do allow you to access. And the reason I allow you to access it is because I don't think I'm going to be able to come up with every corner case that every person using Link is ever going to want to do. I'm not going to be able to support all of it to map directly to what you could write if you just want to use the raw query language of Redis search. So I basically provided the ability for you all to come in and use this this internal query engine and just use that for creating your own queries. And essentially, what he's asking for is a bunch of OR statements within a single Redis query. And I just provided him like, oh, this is how you can run it if you really needed to. And he's asking basically, can we just add this so you can run a collection.where this external collection contains the given ID? And the answer is we probably can. And I think I'm probably going to work on that next week. But I'm sort of out of things that I can work on in a timely fashion uh, on Redis Own today. So I think at an hour and 22 minutes, I think I'm just going to call it for this stream. Um, for those of you who are out there wondering what awesome content is coming to this Twitch and YouTube channel, I will direct you to the developer.redis.com slash I think it's get involved slash Redis live or okay developer.redis.com slash Redis live. So it's leave this right here. So this URL. Um, and if you come in here, you'll see what our schedule is coming up. I have been taking the Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UTC slot. Savannah has been doing Tuesdays. Simon has been doing effectively Thursdays, but this week he's going to be doing Friday. But he's going to be on next, and he's doing an IoT with Redis introduction, which should be a lot of fun to watch. So you all should probably stop by and check that out if you're curious. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it for the stream. I've actually like way ahead of schedule. I had like two things that I was going to work on the stream today, and it's like, oh, I got through both of them in about 15, 20 minutes, or like 30 or 40 minutes each. So with explaining everything. So I mean, I guess I'm just going to call that a win, and we're going to call it an hour and 24 minutes. So yeah. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. It was great speaking to everyone. Have a good one.